Hey, good morning, everybody on YouTube. This is Joe Vitson. It's been a really long time since I've actually posted a video on YouTube. Definitely even a longer time that I posted a video with audio. Please excuse my voice a little bit. I've been under the weather the past couple of weeks. I don't know if it's an issue with my asthma or bronchitis. Hopefully not pneumonia, but I don't feel that bad, so I don't think it's pneumonia. But wanted to talk a little bit about inking again. That's something that I like to do as a hobby. Unfortunately, I don't really get a lot of work professionally to do it, just because I'm a digital inker, I think, and a lot of people want the traditional inks that they can turn around and sell, make a little money off of, which I completely understand. Um, So working today, I work in Clip Studio Paint EX, formerly known as Manga Studio 5, and I think it's one of the best tools out there when it comes to comic book work or manga work, because the software was created just for that purpose. Where Photoshop, of course, is a photo editing tool that people just found ways around to do things when it came to comics, especially coloring. Um, I think it's really kind of horrible when it comes to inking. I'm not a huge fan of it. It's not very user friendly. When you come to Clip Studio Paint, I think a lot of people are really amazed about the features that the program offers, um, how good it looks, how great it can make your artwork look, and the price tag is significantly less than that of Photoshop. So for artists who want to get out there and do work digitally, whether it's penciling, inking, coloring, Clip Studio Paint seems to be really moving up and becoming more and more popular over the past couple of years. Um, when I first started using Manga Studio 3, I think it was, there really wasn't anyone professionally that I recognized using the software. Now there's a lot more people who are using it, so that's great. It's like not like I started the trend or anything, but I think it's great that professionals are looking at it as an alternative to Photoshop. So enough talk about Clip Studio Paint. So for this video, I was going to do something that I've noticed another a great inker from San Diego does, Richard Friend. Um, he tends to do videos in sections after he's inked a portion of a page or whatever, and then he'll talk about what he did so far or why he did what he did. And I was looking at thinking about doing that, but I don't know. To me, it's like I want to show you something too. It's like I don't want the video to be very long. Um, I used to do, an hour minimum, around that time video, and then I would speed it up because um, I wasn't talking on the video, and it's like most people don't want to sit there and just, watch an hour video with no vocals or no music or anything like that. So, but this is going to be pretty short. I'll show you what I've done so far, and then I'll do a little bit, and then I'll end the video. And if I get some likes on the video or whatever, I might jump back in and do another portion of the picture on as a video and be posted on YouTube and Facebook and Twitter and social media. Um, I wish more people would do videos for YouTube. I've seen a lot of people start doing the whole Instagram video, which is really nice, but I think they're limited to a minute. And it's like, when I see people like Jonathan Galopian or Sandra Hope or other inkers that I really like, it's like I want to see more than a minute of their work, of them working. I want to see them bust out a page or like a good panel or something, you know. I don't think you can really do that in a minute's time, you know, with a sped up video. But anyways, let's look at the one I'm working on right now. So apparently this is something I found on the internet. I find most of my art that I ink on the internet because I don't really have any connections with professional artists in the business who are willing to put their pencils out there in high res. And I understand those that have done that before end up usually getting burned by somebody. You know, they get approached by people saying, "Oh, you know, it's for my portfolio. I want to show, you know, I don't plan to sell the art." Yeah, you know, and other things. And then the next thing you know, your artwork's on eBay, inked by somebody. You know, you're cut out of the profit, you know, making any money off of it. Plus, the person just basically wasn't very true to you. They, you know, they weren't honest to you. So I understand why a lot of artists don't provide people like me who are hobbyists or amateurs um, their work. So, anyways, I found this on the internet. It is a wizard cover by Jim Lee. Right now, I'm going through this whole mode where I'm going back to discovering my, I guess, my roots with 90s comics. You know, I grew up in the reading comics in the late 70s through the 80s, 90s to present time. And I have to say, the funnest time I think I really had reading comics or enjoying comics were the 90s. And it's really because of individuals like Jim Lee and Todd McFarlane and Eric Larson and Rob Liefeld and those guys who started Image, um, because they were putting out the books that just attracted my attention. So, anyways, this looks like it was a wizard cover, WildCATS, done by the awesome Jim Lee, co-creator of WildCATS. I think he co-created it with Brandon Choi or Chow. Um, and this is something that he was doing for Wizard Comics, which is no longer with us, but it was a magazine that talked about comics and did a huge amount of supporting of the stuff the guys at Image were doing. So the two characters represented, if you don't know them, the female character is Voodoo. She is part human, part Damonite. And then Grifter or Cash Cole. Voodoo's real name in the comics, I think, is Priscilla Catane. And every time I hear her last name, all I can think about is the woman that used to dance in the Whitesnake videos on the car. But and which is funny because the Voodoo character was also a dancer, but I don't know if they were patenting her after Tawny Katane or not. I don't know. But anyways, Grifter, Team 7, human, enhanced through government experiments, I believe. And I think these are two of my favorite characters from probably WildCATS. Just because I think they were written really well. I enjoyed the way they were drawn. You know, I loved just like the little hanging loose mask that Grifter had, and Voodoo, very attractive young lady who was part Damonite. So you know, every now and again she'd like morph and she'd have like this Damonite claw or something like that, where she was very valuable to the team because she could help them locate the Damonites. And when the story first started, it was there was two warring alien races, which were the Cherubim, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, and then the Damonites. And one of the Cherubim lords actually gathered together the members that would form the WildCATS to fight the Damonites. Anyways, now I'm giving you an oral history. on Kickstarter, which is an oral history of image, which is already being done on Kickstarter. So let me get you out of that. So, anyways, the pencils on this, for being low res, are actually really good. I was actually surprised once I loaded it into Clipped Studio Paint. I sometimes will still refer to it as Manga Studio, so please forgive me, but because that's what it was when I first started it, using it. Um, so for Jim Lee pencils online, I mean this is a really great copy to work with. So show the characters, some great lines that are going on, and then I go totally. Let me turn on my inking layer, which totally ruins the picture. Uh, and this is what I've done so far, working on Voodoo. Um, I think I'm growing as an inker. I put myself up there in the professional levels of Scott Williams or Rich Friend or Sandra Hope or Jonathan Galopian or Matt Manning or Danny Mickey or any of those guys. I just like to do it as a hobby, like I said, most of the time. That's what I'm doing it as. It's just something that passes the time for me and is fun, and it gives me a connection to something that I grew up loving, and that's comic books. I do think I'm getting a little bit looser style. I think I'm kind of, after numerous years of trying to do this, I'm actually developing a little bit more my style, which is um, I guess more reminiscent of like the '90s style inking and stuff like that that you saw in image books. It's what I really grew up with in my young adult years, and I think it's fun. I think it's a fun style. Um, so you see, I got the hand done for Voodoo and her arm that's reaching around Grifter here. Added the little details and stuff. I work really differently. I mean, sometimes I do blacks right away, sometimes I don't, but it just depends what mood I am. And then, I was doing the hair, and I was like sitting there, and I was like, man, it's like, it's kind of like a cross between like maybe what Jim Lee would um, would draw, and maybe what Willis Portacio would draw. I thought that was kind of interesting. And normally I don't like working on hair, but I thought the hair for this was okay. It didn't kill me. Um, I just I'm not a huge fan of hair. I just don't think I get very creative with it, because I don't have a liking for doing it so much. But uh, other than that, I think it came out. I'm gonna wait on the face a little bit just because I don't want to tackle it right now, but because I'm just starting. It's like 7 o'clock in the morning. I just got up and grabbed a soda. I don't drink coffee, so my poison of choice is soda. Um, so it's going to take me a little while to kind of wake up and want to tackle a face. So what I'm going to do is going to try to work a little bit on this area real quick, and see how it turns out. It's like I'm trying to get a looser style. I'm trying to get a faster style. I'm trying not to adhere necessarily to every line that the artist is using. For a long time, I felt kind of bad. I'm like, well, the artist put the line here. It's like, apparently the artist wants it inked, and I would ink it. And then, and then I felt more like, the big chasing Amy joke or whatever it was, being a tracer. And I was like, well, I want to kind of start putting my own vibe into it. So um, I'm trying to do things a little bit quicker, a little bit looser, I guess, um, just as a way for me to um, feel like I'm doing a little bit of my own stuff, of my own style, bringing a little bit of the look I love from that time period. So don't know if I'm successful with it or not. It's just that's the way I feel about it. Um, you know, I, I've actually posted a couple of pictures just recently that I did um, on Instagram, and I was actually surprised by the number of people. It wasn't a lot of people. I mean, single digit. But for me, that's pretty high. So I was kind of surprised that like, oh my god, people apparently like what I did with this or something. I don't know. Um, I was kind of like, wow, shocked a little bit because I was just like, oh, hey, people are, maybe people are getting me now. I was like, I don't know. Uh, or maybe they just felt bad, like, oh my god, that looks so bad. Let's, this is charity likes. Give this man some charity likes. It's like some pity likes. Give him some pity likes. Anybody. Um, see, I'm not being 100% accurate to his lines. There's been homages that I've done um, of Jim's work where, I was actually studying. They were done actually more for study purposes of not that I was interested in trying to draw like Jim, but because I wanted to kind of learn a little bit more about inking from Scott Williams. And the only way I felt I could do that was like if I did like a full kind of homage that was like almost an exact copy, not 100% because I didn't want to rip necessarily Scott off, but I just wanted to learn a little bit more about his style, because unfortunately it's like a lot of these inkers that I like are so busy because they're so good, they're in demand that they don't do videos anymore, or they've never done videos when it comes to doing YouTube, and I think which is a shame because it's like I know Scott Williams I think posted one video, and in like a week's time maybe he had like 40,000 views, which I've never even, I've never gotten to 4,000 views, let alone 40,000 views. And I was just like, oh man, but I was so excited because I was like, oh, if he keeps on doing this, this is going to be great because we're all going to see how um, a master in the business um, does his work, And I was just like, oh, that would be super, but I think he only did the one video, and then that was it. And I was just kind of like, oh man. Um, so for the majority of the picture, I try to use a pen that has an active line to it, so it actually changes with pressure, where you get the thick, thin line. Right now, I'm using Flyland's Fat Maru brush, which is I guess a brush he made based off the Maru brush and off of Manga Studio 4, which was like one of my favorite. And if you see, it's of course it's you know varied line weight. And then but I also go in every now and again with the with like a radiograph styled pen to do to knock out just lines that don't have like a lot of variation to them. I think it gives the picture something different overall. I try to stay away now from using tools like the rulers and stuff to do straight lines. I try to just do them myself. Um, Sometimes I'm successful, sometimes I'm not. Um, but that's how you learn. You learn by practice. That's what it is. It's like they always say, practice makes perfect. And um, so if you want to, to start learning, like, throwing a nice curve or a nice straight line, then you're gonna have to practice it. Uh, Sorry if I get quiet here. I love working on this kind of stuff. I love working on Jim Lee. I love um, the image stuff, just kind of in general overall, as I said, from the 90s. And I just want to um, do it justice. That's my biggest thing, is I don't want to sit there and say, "Oh, I'm such a fan. Hey, look how I messed up his artwork." I don't want to do that. Uh, so I do try to concentrate. And this is probably why I think a lot of inkers don't do videos, or a lot of artists just in general don't do videos with talking, because you feel, of course, you want to tell people what you're doing, but then in the same sense, it becomes kind of a distraction when you're actually sitting there trying to ink parts, and you're thinking about, like, oh, how do I want to approach this, or here's what the artist drew. How am I gonna bring my style to this? And so yeah, I guess I can understand why more artists, I guess, don't do these videos. But man, it'd be really, from a fan point of view, it'd be really awesome. I mean, come on, to have like a high res Jim Lee drawing anything would be awesome. Or Scott Williams inking something by Jim, or you know anyone else for that matter, just inking, showing us how it's done. Um, would be really awesome. So, but I get it. It's like not everybody has the time, so it's like you kind of gotta take what you get. I'd rather see their work in the comics than, I guess, worry about seeing a video on YouTube. But like I said, I'm trying to do things faster, but in the same sense, I don't want to do them so fast to where I just the artwork doesn't look right to me, or I don't do it justice. I mean, it would be one thing if I was under deadlines, but since I do this stuff just for fun, um, I don't really have to worry about the deadline. So um, this area here kind of bugs me, but I'm gonna leave it go for right now. I might come back a little bit later, and maybe I'm seeing it wrong or whatever. I don't know, but I know a lot of people don't really like digital inking, but I try to approach it um, like traditional inking. Um, I like I said, I don't want to do rulers. I don't want to do guides as much as I used to. Even though honestly, it does make stuff a lot easier for the most part. Um, but I also want to learn to throw good lines on my own, and not sit there and say, "Oh, well, I'm very dependent on, uh, this." I gotta have this ruler, or if I don't have this ruler available in Clip Studio Paint, I can't get stuff done. And yeah, and I don't want excuses, you know. I just want to sit there and go, oh, you know, let me go ahead and do this, and you know, I'll throw the best line I can. Maybe it won't be the greatest line it could be, but it'll at least be a line that I threw on my own. Um, just trying to come up with the shapes that I think I see in the piece. Um, because I do want to be true, definitely to Jim's work, because I do love Jim's work so much. Um, and uh, you know, I want it to be good, you know, good work. So not like you know, I expect Jim to ever contact me and be like, I need you to fill in for me, buddy. Just I don't think that's ever gonna happen, but that's okay. Yeah, it's all right. He has, you know, Jim has such a great studio of inkers that help him already that it's just, you know, number of inkers that help him already. It's like, you know, inviting me to the party would be like, oh, you know, it's like, oh, we got, you know, the masters here, and then we got this guy, you know, who just, you know, bugs me a lot to get to do work or something, you know, with me, you know, so I felt sorry for him or something. But anyways, um, so just gonna do a little bit more, and then I'm gonna end the video. Uh, but I do want to show you something else. A piece I just finished that was, I loved it, man. It was kind of a pain in the rump for me, but it, you know, I think it proved challenging enough to where, you know, I think maybe I learned a little bit from it, and I hope I did, um, because that's really what this is all about for me, is me, you know, learning, uh, inking. I'm not going to put you through all the boring part of filling in the black. You can thank me later, but it's pretty good. I don't think that's terrible. Now, um, for this area here, like this mesh that he has going on his outfit, he set some up here, and Voodoo had some as well. She has some there. Um, for that, you know, I would create another layer. This is the easiest way I find to do it. Um, Everybody does stuff differently, of course. Let's go a little bit thicker. Okay, and then like I said, I use like a radiograph styled pen kind of tool, which I can't remember who made these. I'm sorry. I usually I normally give credit where credit is due, but over the past, I think, year or so, I bought so many different custom brushes just to try out people's brushes and support them. And then I sit there and I'm just like, man, I don't know where I got this. I don't remember where I got this brush from, you know. But the reason I create another layer, just to let you know, for this is because, like, I made the mistake up here. I was supposed to create another layer so that if I went over the lines that I had in place, that it would be easy to erase and clean up. And then I ended up doing it on the exact same layer. So then I had to go through and I spotted white or used the eraser. It's easier for me to actually spot the white because you have more control over the brush tip and everything like that. But then I was just like, and it's like I can't believe I totally didn't do what I told myself I was going to do, which was create another layer. Um, the only thing I'm trying to do with the mesh here is I noticed, like, even I've cross hatched some big pieces with cross hatches lately, and I end up cross hatching them just way too tightly, so they came off as really dark. Like I did a Philip tan piece of Deadpool, and yeah, made that go away without bothering the line. Um, and I did the face, and then when I was done with the face, I realized, like, oh, I went too dark. I went too dark on the face. Everything else looked really good, but except for the face part. But anyways, for this video, I'm gonna stop here. I'll do the up there. I'll do the mesh and then color and darken, spot the blacks, and then I'll try to come back maybe within the hour or so and do another video and um, see how that turns out, and we'll do something else like his chest or something. And I'll just do little parts, and I'll try to time manage it a little bit better, and try to keep them short and sweet. So I hope you like this. Will be posted on YouTube, and then link to my Facebook, my Twitter. I'm not sure if I can link it to my Instagram, but then you can check out our. But before we go, the one thing I did want to show you is I just finished this one, and it's Batman with the Penguin and everything from one of the books that David Finch worked on. The file was sent to me by Richard Friend. He found it. I think he found it on the web. And it's actually a double page splash that I just kind of condensed and put on the one page so that the artwork wouldn't get so blown up and distorted and pixelated to the point of where I'm sitting there going, I don't know what I'm looking at. So let me give you a quick peek at this, and then the video is done. Okay, so try to make it worth your time. So over here we got the penguin kind of hanging out, big face, a lot of detail. Was a blast to do. The pen I used was another Flyland pen. It was called Flyland pen, I should say, Flyland. Um, I think the person's last name is Webster. I think it's Kyle Webster is the one who did the brushes. But on here they're Flyland. I don't know Flyland. I don't know if that's like go by name, or it's just something he put on the brush. But anyways, I used his expressive brush for this one, totally the complete thing. And then so we got like a really cool penguin with like all these gnarly, craggy details, which were so much fun to work on. And then you kind of come over to Batman, and it's kind of like the epitome Finch Batman. A lot of cross hatching, a lot of detail. Nice use of shadows and lights and darks to add the drama to the piece. And you get a little craggy here on the metal or whatever his, I guess, forearm guard or wrist guard is. You know, same here with when it comes to like I don't know, like his belt, and then like his cod piece here. I was gonna say chastity belt. I was like, his chastity belt right here is really ate up, But no, the cod piece here is pretty cool. And then I like the way he did the lines and stuff on the bat emblem, And then where I ran into problems was when you come over here in the background, we see the penguin again, which was fun to do, add a lot of details and just make, the penguin look creepy as possible. And then, you have these guys back here as henchmen. And the problem is which I'll show you here, because this is 600 DPI, so quite high res. But you see how I inked the gun or the rifle of this individual, and I'm not a rifle expert. I don't even know if this could be based off of some type of real gun. I don't think so. I think it's kind of just being creative. But then when you turn off that layer and you look at the pencils, it's like there's some confusion to it. There's blurriness to it and things like that. So it became more of a judgment call of how I wanted to do it, which is something I don't normally do, but as an inker, you want to be able to do that. So, like all these rifles back here were just a pain, and and but it was a great learning experience. But the rest of it was pretty good. Do working on the floor, um, cracks and crevices and goodies like that with the shadow. And there's my how I sign my art when I ink it. Texturing on the walls, beat up walls. Here, um, I tend to curve my lines, and I'm working on that still. So down here, I decided I was going to use the line tool just because I wanted to have straighter lines, even though I think a benefit of having like the little bent lines is that you get that like the illusion of it being warped a little bit. Maybe there's like water damage or something like that to it, and it's like so the picture's warped a little bit. So, but anyways, so I just wanted to show you guys that real quick. And hope you like the video. Once again, we'll get back to doing Voodoo and Grifter in a little bit. I'll try to do the blacks real fast, and then post the video up once I fill in the blacks, and then we'll go from there. But I hope you like. Sorry, it went a little bit longer than I wanted to. I'll keep the next one shorter. I won't talk as much, if I talk at all. So I hope you liked, and I hope you will give the video some love. Let your friends know about it. Maybe I can get more subscribers to my channel. Thank you, and I hope you guys have a good one.